The most dramatic moment is the moment that we bring the procured face into the recipient room and we reconnect the vessels. So when you reconnect the vessels, you're bringing life back to this face in a new recipient. So it's a pretty magical moment for anyone who's in the room.
A team of surgeons in Montreal have completed the first face transplant in Canadian history. The surgery was performed over 2 days in May 2018 at Hôpital Maisonneuve-Rosemont in Quebec.
My name is Daniel Borsuk. I'm a plastic surgeon. I specialize in facial reconstruction at Saint-Justin, which is a pediatric hospital in Montreal, and Maisonneuve-Rosemont, which is an adult hospital in Montreal. So our patient who received this first face transplant, he's a 64-year-old man who had sustained a gunshot injury around 9 years ago outside of Ottawa in Gatineau. And he had several surgeries, reconstructive surgeries in the past 9 years. He wanted to be able to eat, he wanted to have teeth, he wanted to be able to breathe, and he wanted to be able to walk around with his family in public without the looks of others and just feel more complete in society. So my first experience with facial transplantation was in Baltimore in 2012 with Dr. Eduardo Rodriguez and the team at the Shock Trauma Unit in Baltimore, Maryland. We did, at that time, the most extensive face transplant in the world on a 35-year-old gentleman named Richard Norris. What we tried to do was replicate that type of atmosphere, that type of teamwork, and to be able to offer that type of procedure here in Canada. So it's taken us 6 years, but we finally can say that we can do it. What we transplanted was the upper jaw, the lower jaw, all of the skin, muscles, and nerves of the whole face, but we left the upper eyelids and forehead. It took 5 years of planning and 30 hours of surgery to complete this procedure for this patient. There were 9 surgeons, we were 6 anesthesiologists, and hundreds of medical care professionals, nurses, security agents, orderlies, who were involved with it. So it's almost like a ballet of specialists of different fields, healthcare fields, coming together.
My involvement started 2 years ago when Dr. Borsuk approached me, and he needed the help of somebody who knew about immunosuppressive treatment in the field of solid organ transplantation, and he asked me if I was interested to work with him in this very new and exciting project. I met with our patient more than 2 years ago to make sure that there was no hidden cancer or infection in his body, because when a patient receives a solid organ transplantation, they must take immunosuppressive treatment for the rest of their life, and it puts increased risk of infection and cancer during the rest of their lives.
From the moment that we'd met and he realized that this was a possibility, before we even began any process, that whether with Transplant Quebec or Health Canada, was to make sure that he was psychologically apt to undergo such a procedure, and that he really recognized the risks, the benefits, and the alternatives to this type of procedure. So he has been followed by a psychiatrist, a wonderful Dr. Saint-Jacques, who's this wonderful psychiatrist who works with transplant patients and who spent the past several years working with him to make sure that there weren't any dependency issues, and to be sure that this patient really recognizes what they were about to get themselves into. So that day began at around 4 a.m. for me when we came to the hospital, and we assembled all the troops, all the surgeons, we all got together. We brought the recipient into the room first because it takes longer to prepare the recipient than the donor. Once we got that underway, around 4 hours later, we started on the donor and procuring the face of the donor. 12 hours after that, we were ready to bring the face into the recipient room, where we reconnected the bones, arteries, veins, nerves, skin, muscle. And that's it, 30 hours later.
Canada has strict laws protecting the privacy of donor families and recipients. This is the first time a donor family in Canada will know who the recipient is.
It can never be overstated how generous this family is, that they were able to donate their loved one's heart, kidneys, liver, pancreas, and face. So they were able to restore at least 5 different patients' lives through one unbelievable donation. And it can't be overstated, the generosity, and they're the real heroes of the story. It's not the surgeons, it's that donor family who agreed to help push things and help this innovative type of procedure.